Hi everybody, this is Christy. I am the Intimate Warrior. I thank you so much for stopping by, and as always, I send you love. So yesterday in my video, I think I mentioned about me going back to this time frame last year. And yes, I did. Most specific, I did definitely mention that in my video. And I remembered in one of the Lionsgate videos that I listened to, or tried to really listen to, but the word kept interfering. I remember me talking about what I'm about to talk about today. And what is it called? I'm going to mention the hourglass. An hourglass, and continue kind of explaining this. I hope to explain it today. I've also made a video about the hook and flail, the Egyptian hook and flail. But it's also, of course, an X. So bear with me. I have been expressing and I'm not sure a desire is the right word, but I am trying to set the intention, or I tried to set the intention to increase my visualization. Not just internal visualization, but the ability to really visualize or see, that is, not imagination, visualize. Okay, this is picking up on things that are not really here, or being able to see what Spirit is guiding me to see without closing my eyes. I hope that makes sense to you. Those who can pick up during your stillness and meditation, and whether it's to help you heal in your process, or those who actually understand messages or pick up on their clairvoyance, clairaudience, all of those, and understand how to take in information. I am not speaking correctly today, as you can tell. Please excuse me. So that has been my intention. And why is that my intention? I, of course, didn't know that was possible. Until I began my process and waking up, I began speaking about it to my mother, who my mother is Vietnamese. So my mom has a lot of the Buddha type of teachings that she's grown up with. But my mom has also gotten away from religion itself. She has stepped away from all of that. And so as I began to open up to my mom about what I am able to achieve here, she opened up as well and began talking about that she has the ability to see. And why she ended up closing herself down. Of course, because it's because of this reality. Being married to my father, who was an army soldier and a drill sergeant and a master sergeant, all that good stuff. So, of course, in coming from where my father is coming from, and everybody that he knew, of course, it ended up wearing her down. And she ended up shutting it down until now. It's been a couple of years for her as well, that it's being awakened back within her. Now, my mom has the ability to see without closing her eyes. She has now gotten already, and this has been within the last couple of years, awakened to being able to, while she's at work, she's able to receive guidance from Spirit while she's working. And I always thought that was truly powerful. It really shows the power that it, please don't, power as in true beauty, great possibilities, okay? Not as in power to overpower another individual. Self-empowerment, okay? Maybe that should be the correct word here. Phrasing. That is truly a empowerment tool that can really assist in the lives of others, of those, of course, who are responsible with that type of gift. So I was like, wow, I don't have that right now. And I know it's because I have it. I didn't trust it enough back then. So I set that intention. Now, my awakening, the awareness of my awakening, from the time that I have committed to it, has been 3 years. It will be 3 years this September the 14th. So I've gone through 3 cycles of the Lionsgate portal. So I've gone through 3 cycles of every single astrological event. 3 times, of course. Some years we have lots of other beautiful events that take place that don't ordinarily take place on a yearly basis. And this here, the way that I, of course, am visualizing or seeing has increased. Why? Because I am trusting, having faith, I'm having patience, I am learning, I am growing, I am becoming. I am just now, recently here now, through this Lionsgate portal, being able to pick up on visualizations within this reality without having to close my eyes. It's only happened a couple of times. Usually, I increased it from having to create stillness from, minutes to minutes, and having to wait for Spirit to give me information, to upgrading myself to instantly closing my eyes and having visuals, like you blink your eyes and you observe information that quickly, to finally where I am. And this isn't continuous, so I still have lots of work to do, to now keep my eyes open and seeing. Now, this is not the same thing as seeing like the, this is not the same thing as seeing shadows and things like that. That's not what I'm talking about. This is not the same thing of seeing sparkles and things like that. It is not like that. It's actually receiving, excuse me, symbols, codes, whatever it is, through the inner eye. Why is that possible? Because the more light that you have within you, the more light that you can see within this reality, which light within reflects on the light outside of here that is not ordinarily visible by the human conditioning, reflects and gives you an image. So I'm also trying to enhance what I can pick up on, whether it's hearing, and of course that inner knowing, all of my senses. That has been my intention. That takes a lot of work here. It takes a lot of work in defeating your ego. It takes a lot of work to defeat all of those fears. So what have I been going through here for the past week? I have been dealing with anger, but definitely feeling centered in love and unified and blissful. How is it possible to have anger and love simultaneously? It is insane. It is insane. My body feels like I'm floating in a cloud of air, of light, of love. My feet, I feel so soft. And I feel really loved. And I have love for other individuals, but there is anger that is coming up. So that is an emotion I am dealing with, anger. And it has a lot to do with, of course, that type of victim mentality of we were all duped. Kind of. And in healing. So I know I am healing, again, those wounds of being lied and manipulated. We have been lied to and manipulated kind of ideas. And so let's see. Let me turn down my volume here. I didn't realize I had my volume on. Or I actually forgot. And I said, again, now look. You see that? I spoke about it yesterday. Now here it is. But please understand that I am still purifying myself. And that's what's taking place. When I am going back to something that I kind of stopped doing, just like anger is an emotion that comes up. That word is something that is coming up in this video because I am also healing, purifying self-doubt. Okay, let's just use self-doubt, insecurities. Now, what I ended up, because I mentioned in the early phases of this video, the X, the hook and flail, the what is that thing I mentioned? Hourglass. I want to talk about that because that was imprinted. And I think I mentioned that as well in one of my earlier videos this week or last week. One of my videos where I saw the X along my chest, from right shoulder to left hip, from left shoulder to right hip, and that is the reason why I now have a rash where it's intersecting across my chest, under my my rib cage, under the breast area, that middle section right there, along the lower part of the heart. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit further. And you can always go back and check out my crook and flail video that I made some time ago. So something that I have, before I begin, have understood now is because I've received this X several times in my process. I've gone back to my notes on this particular phone. And of course, prior to, which I shouldn't have ever done, I should have never started taking notes on my phone and not finishing up in my journal. I should have stuck with my journal instead of my phone. I wish I really had, and I hope to get back to it, and I hope to actually transfer all of my phone data back into a notebook. It's going to be 2 years worth of dialogue. So I can't go back and see if I have received the X or any of these things previously. So I know of 2 times now. 2 times, and that's just going back a year. And it could be actually more because I didn't really go back further in my journal entry. And I think the last time I witnessed the X, which is why I made the crook and flail video, was back in May of was it this year? I need to go back. It was this year. May the 6th. So it wasn't too long ago that I was given it. And as I have mentioned in a couple of videos, maybe, I don't know, that we have to work through the layers of ourself. And this is something that, I think I didn't realize until, I've kind of known this. But you have to complete the great work, okay, through all of your layers: your spiritual bodies, your mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies, and the physical body. And you anchor those in to your physical form. The anchoring doesn't come online of the light body until the hara line has been built. You have to construct, you have to build the portion of our bodies that integrates. Of course, if we haven't gotten through the emotional body, there's no way that we are going to be able to integrate anything. If you aren't dealing with your emotions, that it's so important to self-realize yourself. Being really honest about the emotions that you are dealing with and why they are there. What is linking up into the mind and emotion connection and healing that. Like I just said, I've been feeling angry. And it seems to me that it's coming from lies, being duped. A lot of like videos or movies that I've been recently watching is triggering that type of, are you serious? Look at this. We have been, that type of that anger type of emotion is coming up, and I'm thinking that, look, connection. I realize it. Okay, you know what? It was necessary. It was necessary for all of that to take place. No matter what's happened, no matter the true meaning and reasoning of it, it happened. And I don't want to hold on to that type of idea or emotion. You heal. So what I'm saying is that we are going to be given codes, signs, symbols, messages in relationship to where we are. Just like I received the water into wine. Understanding the water was being transformed into wine. The wine was pouring out of the wine bottle, giving me the understanding that now you're purifying that wine even further into its finest element. So the X, all of those things that coordinate with every part of the body, because the great work has to be done in all those layers, you're going to receive it every single time, every single time, every single time you're working through the layer. And then it becomes different though. Like the first time I saw an X, it was just the X. It was just the crook and flail. This last time, it was on the body. It was on my body. A completely different message. You oftentimes begin the process, you'll receive that code. When you're finished with that process, it will be the code, but different. Quite possibly on the body or up close instead of far off. Like the X could have been far away from my vision. I could see it, but it's far away. Like an individual that you're waving to who is far off in the distance. You can see them, but they're not up close. When things come up close in my vision, it is here. It is yours. And if they're on the body, it is complete. I hope that makes sense to you. So let's go to the hook and flail. Or the crook and flail. I don't even know what I've been saying the whole time. I think I've been saying hook, but it's crook and flail. So please, excuse me. So the crossing of the two staffs above the chest has various meanings and connotations, but the one most pertinent for our discussion is the act of combining their power together, which means that the two instruments are held in the right and left hands in a parallel manner, showing that they have equal strength. Let's see, what is it? So by crossing these two symbolic staffs over like Osiris, his chest, or anybody else who was a follower of Osiris and Osiris's teachings, he or she would have them over the chest, crossing, creating an X. They were conveying the idea that he or she has used both tools to help them become the master of his or her own self, to help them become an Osiris, in other words. So by using these twin instruments of self-control to subdue their lower animal nature, the deceased had followed in the footsteps of Osiris and became a Buddha or Christ in other religions and found their higher self. What has not yet been acknowledged is that the crook and the flail are duality symbols, symbolizing the opposite, positive and negative, male and female, yang and yin energies and forces. The flail is held by the right hand connecting to the male-related left brain, and the crook is held by the left hand connecting to the female-related right brain. Now, the reason why they were seen as symbols of power and kingship was because being held in this way, the point where the crook and flail were brought together, at the point where the crook and flail crossed over each other at the heart or center of the body, symbolized the neutral point of balance, a condition that can lead to the rebirth associated with enlightenment and resurrection, and one's vertical alignment with the heavenly kingdom, the Godhead and the source of all creation. Now in Egypt, you will see lots of images and depictions of the mummies, either in their casket or open casket with their arms crossed over, depicting that they have completed and unified, or themselves, or you will see it on top of the casket, the made casket that's sealed in the mummy, whatever that is called in Egypt, the casing. So when they have the X, whether it's on the casing or the mummy itself, you will see that X. But then you will sometimes see there is a golden line that doesn't always go up and down the casket, but it depicts the unity. This is the balance, the still point in the self that is achieved by doing the inner work on the ego personality of the self. It is the fifth element of prana. When balance is achieved in the 3 or 4 lower levels of duality in the individual, a cross X can be drawn, and where the 2 lines intersect, the golden middle line, the axis, the hara line, is found within the self. This will be visible in the human energy field as a golden shine. The middle line is visible to people, of course, who have high sense perception. It is blue, and it's called the hara line, and represents the 5th dimension where the divine blueprint of creation is visible. It shows in the body as a fine network of blue lines, the meridians. The blue beaded net that covers, and this is specifically Angkor's mummy, indicates that Angkor has aligned himself with his divine blueprint and has woven his net while being in a physical body. The X-like pattern will lead to ever widening and raising of consciousness along the vertical line, and in this way the gap between the lower self and the higher self will be bridged. We must bridge. And this, of course, signifies Angkor or other Egyptians or you has transfigured yourself into a divine human. This is represented on the inner, what is this word? There is usually like a red X that has lifted the illusion of duality in the earthly realm in himself and restore divine unity within the self during his lifetime or her lifetime. And let's see. So I just wanted to really share that with you again, because apparently this is where I was last year, and I know I was there again even 2 years ago. I've been at the same spot for the most part that I have been last year and the previous year. Just now I am at a higher level. As long as you are moving forward in your path and really facing yourself and witnessing yourself and not denying yourself the healing process, therefore not denying yourself what is truly yours, all of your gifts, all the abundance, all of everything that is available to you, because you are really witnessing yourself, then you are going to be at a higher level. This time next year, you're not going to feel how you're feeling right now. I know I can look back, I can think of 2 years ago. I felt lots of physical symptoms. I remember having tons of sinus infections, upper chest infections, purifying myself, purifying my physical form, purifying my spiritual bodies. I remember losing my voice again. You know, after I ended up having my cervical neck surgery, and this is probably, who knows, 10 years ago, I would lose my voice from time to time after that accident. I mean, after my surgery. I woke up from the surgery without a voice, and my doctor was shocked that I didn't have a voice. And I was without a voice for 9 months. I couldn't speak for 9 months. I used to write everything down on a notepad, and this is a memory that's coming back up. And so from time to time, my vocal cords would collapse, and I would go back to not being able to speak. And as I began to heal myself and realizing what was taking place, I began to heal, of course, my throat chakra. And in that healing part of, you know, whether I was in my emotional body, spiritual body, physical body, whatever it was, I had to go through my throat. The voice has to go through, the word has to go through the voice and heal you there. And every time I got to that level, my voice would change, or I would lose it. And as I began to really witness what was going on and not believe in the symptom, the side effect, disease, limitation, I opened up more to love and faith and hope and healing. And of course, now my expression has completely changed. You can go back years ago, however long I've been on YouTube now, and really hear myself and go back and witness that I used to cry a lot. I still cry, but I used to be more afraid. If you have ever known me in this real reality, I was so afraid of everything. I really wish you guys could have known me. And then to know me now and to appreciate me even more so for who I am. But of course, if you knew me back then, you would probably think I'm completely insane right now. And you probably wouldn't be my friend. You probably wouldn't love me and accept me for who I am. It takes a true individual who is of light and love, whether or not they realize it, to stick by an individual who is continuously transforming. A lot of people don't understand why people change all the time. They think that change is actually a sign that you don't know who you are, when in fact, if you are always changing, you are going to become exactly who you were always meant to be. It's when we get stuck staying the same that we think everything that we have been taught to believe is really ourselves. And therefore that is the limit. So I hope this video helps. I've been all over the place. And I wanted to just make sure that you understand what that X really signifies. And that you will, if you have visuals, or even if you don't, I wanted to reassure you that just because it's taking you an X amount of years, you hear that? X amount of years, to do this, no matter how long it is because it is necessary. You're either facing yourself or you're in denial of yourself. You're either in the flow or you're in resistance. So it's always in your power. You are always in control, except when you hand over control to others. Stick from the heart. Learn from the heart. And you are always guided. This is Christy. Much love, health, and healing your way. I am bringing purpose to your life. Take care.